I woke up to a voice telling me I had cried in my sleep. For a second, I thought I was still dreaming. My head was pounding. My mouth tasted like cheap whiskey and stale air. I felt a blanket over my legs, thin and soft, and something under my back that was definitely not my old sagging mattress. I blinked my eyes open and stared at a ceiling I did not recognize. Warm yellow light spread from a lamp in the corner. The room was small but cozy. A bookshelf lined one wall packed with paperbacks. A soft rug lay under a coffee table. A few framed photos hung above a couch. It was the kind of room that felt safe, not like my place with its half-unpacked boxes and cold white walls. I pushed myself up slowly. Every movement sent a sharp pain through my skull. I looked down. I was still in my black t-shirt and jeans from yesterday. My wallet was in my pocket. My phone was beside me on the cushion. My keys were on the table, so at least I was not robbed. I had no idea where I was. My name is Ryan. I am 25. I work as a freelance graphic designer in a small town just outside Portland. Most days are a blur of client emails, cheap instant noodles, and staring at my screen until my eyes burn. 3 weeks ago, my girlfriend walked out of my life. Haley. 3 years together, gone with one conversation. "You are not going anywhere, Ryan," she had said. "You are stuck. I cannot do this anymore." She packed a small suitcase, left the rest, and shut the door. I stood in the middle of my apartment, holding a mug of cold coffee, feeling like someone had reached inside my chest and pulled something out. Since then, I had not been sleeping right, or eating right, or thinking straight. I kept replaying her words. Not going anywhere. Not enough. Last night, I went to a bar to shut my brain up. That part one remembered. Murphy's. A dark little place near the edge of town where the floors are sticky and the whiskey is cheap. I remembered the first drink. Maybe the second. Then the night blurred like someone smeared wet paint over it. Now I was here. Wherever here was. From the next room, I heard the clink of a spoon against a mug. A faint hum. A woman's voice. Low and soft, not words, just a sound. I froze, my heart thudding. I stood up too fast and had to catch myself on the back of the couch as the room tilted. Bare feet on the rug. The smell of something warm and faintly sweet in the air. Bread, maybe? I followed the sound to a small kitchen that opened off the living room. She was standing at the counter with her back to me. Dark hair fell in damp waves around her shoulders, still wet from a shower. She wore a white towel wrapped around her body, tucked in at her chest. The light above the sink traced the shape of her shoulders and neck. I must have stepped on a creaky board, because she spoke without turning around. "You cried in your sleep last night," she said. Her voice was calm, steady, not accusing. Just stating a fact. My stomach dropped. I do not cry. Not in front of anyone, not in public, not in my sleep. I cleared my throat. It came out rough and dry. "Who are you?" I asked. "And where am I?" She turned partway, enough that I saw her profile. High cheekbones, a small line between her brows like she had been thinking too hard for years. When her eyes met mine, they were hazel, sharp but warm, like she was taking in everything at once and weighing it. "Laura," she said, "I live down the street from you. And you, Ryan, are in my apartment. Relax. You are not in trouble." She turned back to the counter, poured coffee into 2 mugs, and slid one along the counter toward the edge. "Come get it," she said. "You look like you need it more than I do." I walked closer, slow, still bracing myself on whatever I could reach. The kitchen was as cozy as the living room. Small wooden table. Another bookshelf in the corner, this one stacked with cookbooks. A few plants on the windowsill. The smell of fresh bread made my empty stomach twist. I took the mug. The ceramic was warm against my palms. "What happened?" I asked. "How did I get here?" Laura leaned against the counter, her towel still tied. Her posture relaxed in a way that made me feel even more aware of my own mess. "That depends," she said. "Do you want the short version or the long one?" Quote, "Short first," I said, "then maybe the long." She nodded. Short version, she said. You were a wreck outside Murphy's. It was pouring. You were sitting on the curb, soaked, head in your hands. I was driving home after closing up my bakery. I recognized your face. I have seen you around the building. You looked like you were about to fall apart, so I stopped. Asked if you needed a ride. You got in the car. You could not tell me where you lived, so I brought you here. You passed out. You cried. I let you sleep. I stared at her. The words felt unreal, like she was telling me a story about some other guy. I do not usually pick up strangers, she added, but I know that look. I have worn it before. The way she said it made something twist in my chest. So you brought me home, I said slowly, to your place. You do not know me, and you brought me here. She gave a small shrug. You were soaked and shaking and talking to yourself, she said. I was not going to leave you in the rain. And you are not really a stranger. We live in the same building. 4th floor, right? Quote, I nodded, surprised she knew. Yeah, I said. Apartment 4B. 3C, she said, tapping her own chest. We are neighbors. You hold the door for people. You take the trash out for the old guy down the hall. I notice things. I looked down at my coffee to hide the heat rising in my face. I did not think anyone noticed me at all. Why not just call someone? I asked. A friend. Or the cops. Because you did not need a cop, she said. You needed a couch. She walked past me to the living room and picked up a folded pile of clothes from a chair, a plain gray t-shirt and a pair of sweatpants. I was going to try to get you into these last night, she said, holding them out. But even half-conscious, you were stubborn. Kept swatting my hands away and mumbling about boundaries, so I gave up and gave you a blanket. Despite everything, I almost laughed. That sounded like me. I took the clothes from her. Thank you, I said, for not leaving me there. For this. You are welcome, she said. I have been where you were. Different story. Same feeling. I would have wanted someone to stop. Her eyes held mine, and for a moment I felt like she could see right through the walls I had built around myself since Haley left. She broke the stare first, moving back to lean against the counter. There is more, she said quietly. From last night. Do you want the long version now? I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I said. Tell me. She took a slow sip of her coffee, choosing her words. In the car, she said. Before you passed out, you kept saying the same thing over and over, like you were trying to convince yourself. What did I say? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked right at me. You said, I am not enough, she answered, again and again. The mug shook in my hands. Haley's voice flashed in my head. You are not going anywhere. You are not enough. And standing there in my neighbor's kitchen, wrapped in yesterday's clothes and the smell of fresh bread, I realized this stranger had heard the part of me I had been trying hardest to hide. Hearing her say, I had whispered, I am not enough. In my sleep felt worse than the hangover. I stared at the coffee in my hands, watching the surface shake just a little. I did not know if it was from my nerves or the way my fingers would not stop trembling. I said that, I asked. Laura nodded once, slow. More than once, she said, like it was stuck in your throat. Shame crawled up my neck. Haley's words were one thing inside my own head. Knowing someone else had heard my fear out loud made them feel real in a way I did not want. I am sorry, I muttered, for dragging all that into your place. You did not drag anything, she said. You were just honest, finally. Your mouth loosened before your mind could stop it. I almost laughed at that. It was true. I only ever told the truth by accident. She pushed off the counter and walked back to the living room. Coffee is going to make your head worse, she said over her shoulder. Sit. I will get you something better. I sank back onto the couch. The blanket was still on the floor. I picked it up and folded it as neatly as my shaking hands allowed, then set it on the armrest. Lara came back with a different mug. Steam rose from it, sharper than coffee. Ginger tea, she said. Trust me. I took it. The first sip burned, but the spicy taste cut through the fog in my head. Thanks, I said. She sat on the edge of the armchair opposite me, tucking one leg under herself. She had traded the towel for a soft shirt and leggings. Somehow that made everything feel even more real. "You do not have to talk," she said. "I am not going to make you explain your whole life because you cried on my couch. But you look like someone who has not said anything real in a while." I stared at the mug. The ginger stung the back of my throat. "She left 3 weeks ago," I said, before I could stop myself. "My girlfriend, Haley. We were together 3 years." Lara did not flinch or tilt her head in that pity angle I hate. She just listened. She said I was stuck. I went on. That I was not going anywhere. That she felt like she was dragging me forward and I was dead weight. Then she packed a bag and left. Quote, I let out a breath and gave a short, bitter laugh. "You know that feeling when someone says out loud the thing you already fear the most about yourself?" I asked. "It is like they stamped it into your skin." "Yeah," Lara said quietly. "I know that feeling very well." I looked up. Her eyes were softer now, the sharp edge hidden behind something else. "You do not even know me," I said. She did. Maybe she was right. "Maybe she was scared," Lara replied. Sometimes people throw those words because it is easier than admitting they are the ones who are lost. The idea felt strange. Haley, lost. I had never pictured her that way. She always looked so sure, even when she was walking away. "It does not matter," I said. Either way, I believed her. "And then you believed whiskey," Lara said, "which is worse." That pulled a small smile out of me. "You own a bakery," I said, changing the subject. "You mentioned it earlier." Her face brightened a little. "2 blocks from here," she said. "Corner of Maple and 5th. Tiny place. 4 tables. Good coffee, if I do say so myself." "The bread smell," I said, nodding. "That is you." "Yeah," she said. "Sorry if it is too much. Smells like this all the time. I barely notice now." "It is nice," I said. "My place smells like printer ink and stress." She laughed, soft but real. "You are a designer," she said. "I have seen your name on packages in the mailroom. Ryan Carter. Logo mock-ups, flyers. Your landlord leaves boxes down there for days." I blinked. I had not realized she knew that much. "You watch a lot," I said. "I live alone," she replied with a little shrug. "I notice things. It is my way of not going crazy." We fell quiet again. The tea warmed my chest. The pounding in my head eased. "Why did you really help me?" I asked finally. "You said you have been where I am." "What does that mean?" Lara looked past me at the window. The gray morning light made her look older for a second, then younger the next. "It means I know what it feels like to sit somewhere and think no one will notice if you break," she said. "And I remember wishing someone would walk up, just once, and say, 'Come on, you do not have to fall apart here.'" Quote. She looked back at me. "No one did that for me," she said. "Yesterday, I had a chance to do it for you, so I did." Her words were simple, but they landed deep. I finished the tea and set the mug down. My body felt heavy, the kind of tired that goes past sleep and into the bones. "You are nodding off again," she said. "Lie down. You can stay a while. I will be in the kitchen." "You sure?" I asked. "I invited you in, did I not?" she said. "I lock my door when I want someone out." There was something so direct in that it almost made me laugh. "Okay," I said. "Just for a bit." I stretched out on the couch again. Lara pulled the blanket over me. A quick, practical motion, but her hand brushed my shoulder for a second longer than it needed to. "Sleep, Ryan," she said. "You are safe here." The words sank into me like warm water. Safe. I could not remember the last time anyone had said that to me, or when I had believed it. My eyes closed before I could fight it. When I woke up again, the room was dim. The lamp was off. A soft light spilled from the kitchen. My head felt clearer, my stomach empty. Outside, the rain had calmed to a slow drip. For a moment, I lay there, listening. The hum of the fridge, the faint clink of a spoon. I pushed the blanket aside and sat up. The clock on the wall said 1:17. I was not sure if it was night or afternoon until I looked toward the window and saw nothing but black. I padded barefoot to the kitchen doorway. Lara sat at a small wooden table facing an open book. Not a book. An album. The pages were thick and glossy, edges worn from being turned too many times. She had changed into an old t-shirt and loose pants. Her hair was dry now, pulled into a messy knot. A mug of tea sat untouched beside her. She was staring at a photo, her finger tracing the edge of it with slow, careful strokes. There was a look on her face I had not seen before. Not the calm neighbor. Not the steady woman with the towel and the coffee. Something raw. I cleared my throat, gentle. She jumped a little, then relaxed when she saw me. "Hey," she said softly, "could not sleep?" "Guess not," I said. "Head feels better, though. I came for water." She nodded toward the sink. "Glasses are in the cabinet above," she said. I filled one and drank, but my eyes kept drifting back to the album on the table. The picture I could see showed a little girl with braids and a huge grin, flour on her cheeks, holding a lopsided cake. Lara followed my gaze, then looked down at the photo. Her hand rested flat on the page. "I do not usually take this out when someone is here," she said quietly, "but you are already in the deep end with me, so." She closed the album halfway, like she was deciding something. "I told you I have been where you are," she said. "Want to know what I meant?" I pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. "Yes," I said. "I do." She kept her hand on the album for a second, like it was the lid to something dangerous. Then she slid it back toward herself and opened it again. The little girl in the photo smiled up at us with her arms around that crooked cake. Big eyes, hair in uneven braids, flour all over her face. "Her name was Lily," Lara said. Her voice was steady, but her thumb shook a little as she brushed the edge of the picture. "My daughter?" My chest tightened. "I had her when I was 25, she went on. "Same age you are now. I thought I had plenty of time to figure life out. Turns out, life had other plans." She flipped to another page. More photos. Lily at a park. Lily on a swing. Lily sitting on a counter, hands in a mixing bowl. "She loved coming to the kitchen," Lara said. "Loved the smell of cinnamon. Loved the way dough felt between her fingers. I used to tell her we would open a bakery together when she grew up. She would run the front. I would bake in the back." She smiled at the memory, then it faded. "She got sick when she was 5, Lara said quietly. "Leukemia. We spent 3 years going in and out of hospitals. Chemo. Tests. Good days. Bad days. We measured time and blood counts and doctor appointments." She did not look at me. She kept her eyes on the page, one finger tracing Lily's outline like she was still there. "I kept telling her it was going to be okay," she said, "even when I knew I did not know. I told myself that if I stayed strong enough, positive enough, I could hold everything together by sheer force of will." Her jaw tightened. "Then one night it was not okay," she said, just like that, 20 minutes. One infection her body could not fight. I went to get coffee from the machine in the hallway. When I came back, the room was full of nurses, and then it was quiet. I did not say anything. There was nothing to say that had not already been said to her 100 times. "I am sorry. She is in a better place." All those lines people use when they do not know what else to do. So I just sat there and let the silence be. "My husband left a year later," she said. "He could not look at me without seeing her. Could not walk past the bakery things without breaking down. One day he packed a bag and said he had to go somewhere he did not feel like a ghost." She closed the album slowly and laid her palm flat on the cover. "I told myself I would never need anyone after that," Lara said. "Never ask for help, never let anyone close enough to rip me apart again. I shut everyone out. Friends, family. I buried myself in work. I moved here. I opened the bakery in her name and pretended that was enough." She finally looked up at me. Her eyes were wet, but no tears fell. "It was not enough," she said. But I did not know how to admit that without feeling like I was betraying her. My throat felt thick. "I am sorry," I said anyway, because even if the words were small, they were all I had. She nodded once in thanks, not brushing it off, not making it easier. Years later, she said, "I walked past a bar and saw a guy on the curb in the rain, head in his hands, shoulders shaking. And for a second, I saw myself. Not the mother version. Not the wife. Just the person who sat on the edge of a bed and wished someone would say, "You are not alone." Quote. She held my gaze, and I understood who she meant. Me. "So I stopped," she said. "I opened the car door and gave you the kind of ride I used to pray for. Not to somewhere better. Just away from the worst place." Quote. The kitchen felt very small then. The clock on the wall ticked. The fridge hummed. Somewhere outside a car rolled past on wet pavement. "You think your pain is small next to mine," Lara said. "I can see it on your face. But hurt is hurt, Ryan. Yours is real. It counts." I did not realize my hand had balled into a fist on the table until she reached out and rested her fingers lightly over it. "What happened with her?" she asked. "The one who left." Quote. "Haley," I said. The name tasted bitter. "We met in college. She liked that I was creative." That I did not want a boring office life. At first. I let out a breath. Then rent got harder, I said. Freelance jobs got messy. Clients delayed payments, or vanished. I got more stressed. She got more scared. She started asking when I was going to get serious. Get a proper job. Make a plan. Every conversation turned into that. I stared at our hands, her fingers still resting on my fist. I kept saying I was trying, I said. That I just needed more time. She said time was the one thing she could not keep giving me. She said she felt like she was dating a sketch, not a real finished person. A laugh slipped out, sharp and humorless. Then, one night, I said, she said she was done, that I was not going anywhere, that I was not enough. She packed a bag and left, and I believed every word. I felt my eyes burn. I blinked hard. I started seeing myself the way she did, I said. A dead end, a guy who cannot get his life together. Last night was the first time I let it spill out. Guess my mouth got there before my pride did. Lara's hand tightened around mine. She saw a version of you that scared her, she said. That does not mean it is the only version that exists. I shook my head. What if she was right? What if she was not? Lara answered. What if you were just stuck in a story she wrote for you, and you were allowed to write your own? A hot tear slid down my cheek before I could stop it. Then another. I covered my face with my free hand. My shoulders shook. Years of holding it together, of pretending I did not care, cracked all at once. It felt ugly and raw and embarrassing, breaking down in front of a woman I barely knew. You are okay, Lara said. Her chair scraped lightly as she moved closer. Her hand let go of mine and came up to rest on my shoulder. Let it out. No one is keeping score here. Her touch was warm, steady. No rush to fix, no quick shh to shut me up. Just presence. I do not know how long I cried. Long enough for my throat to ache and my nose to clog, for the tight knot in my chest to loosen a little. When it finally slowed, I dropped my hand and wiped my face with the heel of my palm, embarrassed. Sorry, I muttered. I am not usually like this. She shook her head. You are human, she said. That is all you are, usually like. We sat there in the soft light, closer than before. Her knee brushed mine under the table. The album rested between us like a quiet witness. You said something earlier, I said after a moment, that people did not come for you when you needed them, but you came for me. She gave a small smile. Maybe I am learning, she said. Then I cannot fix what happened back then, but I can show up now, for someone, for you. The last word hung in the air. My heart beat harder. I looked at her. At the lines by her eyes, the softness in her mouth, the strength in the way she held herself. This woman had lost more than I could imagine, and somehow she still had space left to pull me in from the rain. Before I could overthink it, I reached out and covered her hand where it lay on the table. She did not pull away. Her fingers turned, lacing gently with mine. Thank you, I said. For the couch, for the tea, for telling me about her, for not acting like I am just some drunk idiot. Her eyes softened. You are my neighbor, she said. You are a person. That is enough reason. My body felt heavy again, the kind of tired that came after crying, not drinking, she noticed. You need real sleep, she said. The couch is going to kill your back. She stood and nodded toward the hallway. "I have a guest room," she said. "Bed is small, but better than that sofa." Come on. Quote. Part of me wanted to protest, say I had already taken too much, but another part, the tired, honest part, stood up and followed her down the short hall. She pushed open a door. The room inside was simple. A small bed with a gray comforter, a nightstand, a lamp, a window with the blinds half open, showing the glowing parking lot outside. "I change the sheets every week, even if no one sleeps here," she said, almost apologetic. Force of habit. She pulled the blanket back and stepped aside. "You do not have to be brave tonight," she said quietly. "Just rest." I sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly aware that my neighbor was standing in the doorway watching me like she actually cared if I slept. "If you wake up and freak out about being here," she added, a tiny smile on her lips, "I will remind you, you are safe, okay?" I nodded. "Okay," I said. She turned off the overhead light, leaving only the soft glow of the lamp. "Good night, Ryan," she said. "Good night, Lara," I answered. The door clicked softly behind her. I lay back, pulled the blanket over myself and stared at the ceiling. The bed smelled faintly of clean laundry and something sweet, like vanilla. My eyes burned, but this time from exhaustion, not pain. As I drifted off, I noticed one last thing. For the first time in weeks, the voice in my head telling me I was not enough was quiet. In its place was another one, softer, from the kitchen earlier. "You are safe here." When I woke up again, I did not know where I was. For a second, my chest kicked like a trapped animal. The ceiling was too close. The light was too soft. It was not my place. My brain jumped straight into panic. Then I felt the sheets. Clean. Smooth. Not the rough old ones on my bed. I smelled something light in the air, like vanilla and coffee. Lara's guest room. It came back in pieces. The bar. The rain. The couch. The album. Her hand on mine. Her voice telling me I could sleep here. Telling me I was safe. I blinked until the room came into focus. The blinds were cracked, just enough to let in a dull gray light. The storm was gone. Outside, I could hear a car door slam, then quiet again. I rolled onto my side, then froze. Lara was sitting in a chair near the bed, one knee pulled up, a mug in her hands. She was still in that gray sweater from earlier, her hair pulled back into a loose knot. She looked tired but relaxed, like she had been there a while. "You really freak out when you wake up somewhere new, don't you?" she said softly. My heart slowed at the sound of her voice. "How long have I been asleep?" I asked, my voice rough. "Couple of hours," she said. "You came in here, hit the bed, and were out." I pushed myself up, leaning against the headboard. The blanket slipped down to my lap. "Why are you in here?" I asked. She shrugged lightly, her lips quirking. "You were restless," she said, tossing, mumbling. "I wanted to make sure you did not wake up and bolt through the window." I rubbed my face with both hands. My skin felt puffy and tight from crying earlier. "Sorry," I muttered, "for being such a disaster in your house." Lara shook her head. "You cried again," she said. "Just a little, not the loud kind, more like your body remembered something your brain is trying to forget." I let my hands fall to my lap. "I am really selling myself here," I said. "Drunk, broken, random, sleep crier, great neighbor." She gave a small smile and set her mug on the nightstand. "You know what you said in your sleep this time?" she asked. I sank back a little. "Please do not tell me it was the same thing." She shook her head. "No," she said. "You said, 'Stop leaving,' over and over, and once you said a name, Haley." My throat closed up for a second. I looked away at the blinds, at the parking lot lights outside. "I am sorry I pulled you into that," I said. "You did not pull me anywhere," she replied. "You were sleeping. Your brain was just sorting the mess. I just happened to be in the room." I took a breath, slow and deep, and forced myself to look at her again. "How do you even stand this?" I asked. "Having someone fall apart in front of you, twice." She held my gaze, her eyes steady and warm. "Because I know what it means to have no one there when you do," she said. "And I am done being the person who looks away." She reached out then, not hesitating, and laid her hand over mine on the blanket. Her fingers were warm, soft. "You cried in your sleep," she said, repeating the words from earlier, but closer now, like they were meant only for me. "But you are safe here." Hearing the words this time while I was awake hit different. It felt like someone had pressed a warm palm over the cold center of my chest. I swallowed. "Thank you," I said quietly. We stayed like that, her hand on mine, the room quiet. The world outside moved on. Cars, people, whatever. In that small room, time felt slower. "You can go if you want," she said after a while. "I am not keeping you hostage. But if you want to stay a little longer, I am making fresh bread. And the bakery always needs extra hands on a morning like this." "You trust me around your food?" I asked. She laughed under her breath. "I will not let you near the dough yet," she said. "You can carry trays. Taste test," nod approvingly. "Very important work." Her hand was still on mine. I turned my palm so our fingers threaded together. It felt natural now, like we had skipped the awkward part and gone straight to honest. "I do not know what this is," I said. "You and me, this night. I do not want to call it something and ruin it before it starts." "Good," she said, "because I do not have a neat label either. I just know I like having you here, and you looked less lost when you were talking in my kitchen than you did on that curb." I smiled, small but real. "I felt less lost," I admitted. She squeezed my hand once, then let go and stood up, brushing her palms on her jeans. "Come on," she said. "Before the loaves burn and I have to explain to customers why their bread tastes like smoke and emotional crisis." I laughed, the sound surprising me. It came out lighter than anything had in weeks. I swung my legs over the side of the bed and stood. I felt a little weak but grounded, the kind of tired that comes after finally telling the truth. In the hallway, she stopped and glanced back at me. "You know you can knock," she said. "Any time, not just when you are drunk and falling apart." I nodded. "I will," I said, and I meant it. We moved through the small apartment together, the living room, the soft rug, the bookshelf, the couch where I had first woken up. All of it felt different now, like it was part of some map I had not known I needed. In the kitchen, the oven was on. Warmth spread through the room. The smell of baking bread wrapped around me like the blanket from earlier. She handed me an oven mitt and pointed to a tray. "Careful," she said. "Lift from the sides." "Yes, chef," I said. We worked side by side, her moving with ease, me clumsy but trying. We talked about small things at first. The town. The regulars at her bakery. The kind of designs I liked to make when I was not worried about paying rent. "You should bring your sketchbook sometime," she said. "I could use a new logo, something with a little more heart." "You bake bread that makes half the town happy," I said. "I think you already have heart." Quote. She looked at me for a second, and I saw that same warm spark in her eyes as when she had told me about Lily. "Still," she said, "maybe we can build something new out of everything we lost." We finished pulling the trays out. She turned the oven off and leaned her hip against the counter, facing me. "So," she said, "here's what I am thinking. You go home. You shower. You drink water that is not from my sink. You eat that pastry I am putting in a bag for you. And if you feel like it, you come by the bakery tomorrow afternoon. I will save you a slice of whatever sells the slowest." "Why the slowest?" I asked. "Because I stay late until it is gone," she said. "Gives us more time to talk." My heart did that strange, warm twist again. "That a date?" I asked, half teasing, half terrified. Her smile tilted to one side. "It is whatever you are ready for," she said. "Friend, neighbor, something else someday. I am not in a hurry. I just do not want the only version of us to be you on the curb and me in a passing car." I thought about Haley, about the night she left. The way the door closing had sounded like a period at the end of a sentence I did not write. Then I thought about Laura stopping her car in the rain. About the album, about the way she had looked at me when she said hurt is hurt. "Okay," I said. "Tomorrow. Bakery. Slowest seller. I will be there." She nodded, satisfied, like a deal had been struck. She grabbed a paper bag, slid a still warm roll into it, then tore a scrap of paper from a notepad and scribbled something. Her handwriting was neat but quick. She tucked the note inside and handed me the bag. "For the road," she said, "and for when your head starts telling you you are alone again." I took it, feeling the heat through the paper. At the door, I pulled my shoes on and paused with my hand on the knob. "Lara," I said. She lifted her chin. "Yeah?" "If last night was an accident," I said, "I think it is the best one I have ever had." Her eyes softened. "Me too," she said. "Now go before I find more feelings to make you cry about." I stepped into the hallway. The air felt cooler out there, the building quiet. Downstairs, outside the entrance, I opened the bag. A small round roll sat inside, crust golden. Next to it, folded, was the note. I unfolded it. In careful letters it said, "You are not stuck. You are not useless. You are enough. If you forget, knock on 3C. I read it twice, then folded it and tucked it into my pocket. As I walked home, the world looked the same cracked sidewalk, same traffic, same gray sky. But I did not feel like the same person who had staggered into the storm last night. I woke up in my neighbor's bed to find out I had cried in my sleep. But I also woke up to something I had not felt in a long time. A small, stubborn, steady feeling that maybe, just maybe, I was safe. And maybe, just maybe, I did not have to carry that truth alone.